cold down here. I should have worn my Dio sweater too, but it was a little small. At what point did the big hair come along in your drumming career?
My big
was that
hair?
something? Yeah, was that something you grew for one of the bands? Or?
You want like personal hair secrets, or
No, I just want to know when it got to be taller than a cornstalk.
If you look at the growth of my hair through the years, you'll see that, I mean, in high school I looked like Christy McNichol, because I had like, the Farrah Fawcett thing
you
going.
just wiped out half the audience with a Christy McNichol.
Yeah, so that's for you young folks. That was
go Google that.
A real old person's, reference. From which show was that?
I have Family.
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 Okay. Anyway, my hair, I just tried to grow it out and kept growing it and kept growing it. And at some point when it was straighter, it wouldn't grow anymore. So I got a perm. And then I realized, holy shit, like I can grow this like 10 times longer now, So it was like, okay, I'm on to something here. So I just kept getting perms for a while. And in the beginning, it looked like sort of like a sheep skin rug on my head, real tight curls and stuff. But once I grew it and it started like falling down, it actually was like, whoa, I got it big and long, and it was like, and then I just stopped getting perms and just kind of let it grow.
I know somewhere on the road, you, Bill Degley, Bill's mom, we were discussing this, and I don't remember the answer. Does that encumber your drumming? The hair? Is it
man.
Is it just like,
it's really,
come on, I'm trying to drum here?
It's weird. For the longest time, it really didn't. I literally did not even notice my hair being as long as it was, except sometimes I'd be playing and the sticks get a little bit chewed up from hitting rim shots all the time. So that you have this like chewed up bit in the middle, and every once in a while I'd go like back and just catch a clump of hair and just like rip it out. So that could be a little bit tricky, but other than that, it was fine. I mean, it never bothered me, and the hair was flying.
So now, back to Waysted, they're always more of a European band.
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, you guys did some of those big festivals out there. Did it blow your mind being, the age you were at to be playing those size of gigs?
Yeah, it was amazing because, I mean, other than, I went from playing like the Empire to, and that's the Empire like, empty or like half full, it wasn't anything like, and then I went over to England and it was just like immediate, blown away feelings, because not only was I in England, I was in North Wales, where like all these famous people and bands that I love doing records. We worked at a studio called Rockfield, and where Rush recorded like A Farewell to Kings, and Queen recorded Bohemian Rhapsody there, and Robert Plant had lived in the house we were living in when he was doing his solo albums, and just all this history and stuff, and it was like blowing me away, and then you go, oh, we just got on the Maiden tour, and I'm like, what? Like, so the first gig I did was like a little shitty pub gig. We just went out to kind of like bang it out, but then like we went on tour with Iron Maiden and went to like countries that like I barely ever even knew about, like, Yugoslavia and all these like Iron Curtain. We went like crazy. Hungary, it was just a mind blower.
Must have been some tour of beers, huh?
Yeah, it was nuts, man. I mean, back then, crossing borders with armed guards, and I mean, this is like pre, the wall coming down, all that stuff. We went to Berlin, saw the wall there, and it was very eye-opening. I learned more by traveling on that tour than I ever did in school, I mean, it was like you can read that shit, but when you see it in person, it's like, wow, you it opens your mind up to that kind of, you know, not to be down on America, but I mean, it's like you're here, you're free, everything's cool, and you kind of got blinders on, and then when you go see other countries, especially back then, you know, 35 years ago or something, or 30, I'd say was the first real tour I did. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff, man. And the gigs, just, you know, I learned how to tour on a big level like that, watching, you know, I mean, the UFO guys, my bandmates in Waysted had toured years in UFO, so I was learning from them and how to entertain people and pacing of a show and, you know, getting a crowd reaction
Make
at certain
your moves
times.
bigger.
Yeah, man, throwing shapes, you know, play to the guy in the back of the arena and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, and you work on that, and it really, like, you see results, you know, from playing night to night. You're like, shit, man, yeah, that part worked, you know, let's do that again next time. And
So now, did you think this was like gonna last forever, or were you already networking, looking, saying, you know, there's got to be another gig I could jump on?
not really. I never really, like, I was happy doing that. It seemed like it was moving forward, and I never got, you know, disenchanted or anything until things started to kind of bog down a little bit. So the Waysted thing went on quite well for a while, and then it got to a point where it just seemed to, when Chapman was given his walking papers, then I started to really doubt what could happen from there. Could we get a young hotshot guitarist? You know, are we going to lose our record deal? And I was kind of like in LA auditioning like all these guys from GIT and stuff, and I'm like, you know, where are we going to go with this? Are we just going to become like, you know, just another band, or
Another
you know,
Spinal Tap,
or
before
whatever?
Spinal Tap, right?
Yeah, so I wasn't a guy that was like, okay, you know, right before the concert, like, let me call so and see what else is online. You know, it was like, if I knew I was going to have to bail or something was going to be coming, then I would start to kind of ponder the question, but I wasn't really looking to jump ship, you know.
It's
I've always
incredible
been
that
pretty
rock and
loyal.
roll has never wound up like sports.
Free agency
Yeah,
kind of
you
thing?
know, Coverdale saying, I'll trade you my bass player for future
Yeah.
considerations,
Right,
and
$1 million.
and we'll take your rider.
Right. Yeah. There's
All
not
right.
enough money. I don't.
So
think
I was not exactly in the loop back then, kind of an outcast, but the crowd was all abuzz the night that you took over for Tony Destra, who passed away. How did you end up in Britny Fox?
Well, I grew up with Billy, first of all, playing, as I said, in my basement, so we were friends. We lost a little bit of contact during the Waysted period, but, and then Dean was the drummer in World War III at that point, who I had replaced, so I knew Dean through that. Michael I didn't know as well, but he did come up to me early on when I was in World War III, and he was in another band with Billy, pre-Britny Fox, and he did say, like, dude, I love the way you play, and I would love to play with you sometime, and you know, so that was like a little bit of a seed planted there. But the real way that it went down was when Tony passed away. They asked me at that time if I was interested in auditioning or playing with them, and I couldn't do it because I was with Waysted, and I really didn't want to come home and, you know, join what was at that time a club band and maybe have to start the whole process again. I wanted to ride the Waysted thing as far as it would go, so I declined. They got Adam West, Adam Ferrioli in the interim, you know, and it looked like stuff was going to really happen for them. They did a couple showcase gigs, but then when the label said, you know, we want to sign you guys, but we think the band needs a few changes made, and that's when I got a call from Michael, and I was out in LA pondering where Waysted was going to go, and I thought, you know what, if this thing takes a shit, maybe it's a good time for me to make the jump to a band that's obviously, now they have a deal, it's going to happen, you know what I mean? So then I I just went back and I played with them, you know, for a couple hours, and they were like cool, and then they let me in, and that was that.
Some of the best times I ever had on the road was with Bill's mom, though.
Fran.
And
Fran was
she
awesome.
was telling us how Bill had learned how to throw the guitar around his neck like Cinderella and catch it and fly.
Right.
And she goes, and he comes in my room and he takes that bass and he goes, wing, and it sticks in the ceiling.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, I can't. I know Jimmy Marciano told me he used to practice in his backyard with a football helmet on and just like wing the thing, you know.
So now, we all know the original Dizzy Dean Britny Fox imploded.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the early days?
Just amazing, an amazing journey from, you know, even though I had done a world tour with Waysted and Maiden and all that stuff had happened, I mean, that was their band, you know. Now I felt like an equal part of something with guys that I knew from, you know, the same area and whatnot, and that was cool. You know, I literally joined the band, learned the songs, played a few gigs, and next thing you know, we were in the studio making our first record for you know, one of the biggest labels in the world, and that was all great.
How about the 18th century dress-up stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you know, in the beginning it was like, what can I wear? You know, okay, I have like a jacket, and here's some of your grandmom's pearls, and like here's a bracelet and a necklace and silly boots, and I mean, nobody back then, I think everybody was just like, what can we, oh yeah, that looks good, and just putting on the most ridiculous shit because we didn't really know, we didn't have money, we didn't know really what to do, and we're not like going to make clothes, you know, maybe somebody could make you a shirt or something or a jacket, but so you just took stuff and you like crafted it together into something that looked cool, you know, and but man, some of the stuff was just ridiculous.
Favorite track from the early days?
There's too many to mention. Probably like Living on the Edge, or Long Way to Love's great. It's a great drum song. I mean, it's a cool riff. Tony, you know, created a great groove and a couple really cool fills. I always loved playing that song. And, you know, the obvious ones.
I always thought your solo should have been Rock Revolution.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
now,
sure.
you guys got some great dates too. Alice Cooper, Rat Poison, Kicks. I mean, you got primo opening slots.
Yeah, man.
I watch bands come out, get 2 weeks on the road with a band that's a lot lesser and been told back in the studio.
Yeah, well, we were lucky. We, you know, MTV did it for us. I mean, we weren't a band that was like slogging it out, you know, for too long. I mean, we literally put the record out, did a video, and then it started like blowing up. So we had timing, and, you know, we got some good offers from Poison and stuff like that.
Alright, let's do one more and then we'll take another break. Do you think we'll ever see the original 4 members again? And what would it take to have that happen?
I always remained positive and hopeful, but man, anymore it's like so much time has passed, and these guys are like, I don't know what it is, but I mean, God, you know, like we tried a couple of years ago. I know nobody was really talking at all. Like I would talk to Dean from time to time about various stuff, but it was never really about Britny Fox. It was always about, you know, do you want to play on my new stuff? And I did a couple tracks for him like 10 years ago, but these guys never like communicated with one another to just say, look, you know, we all had something good, and it's not going to be as good if it's not all of us. And like, but you know, at one point I was kind of trying to mediate between Billy and Dean, and the 3 of us sat down, and I thought this is the closest we've ever been to doing something. But Dean is always going to be Dean, man. He's just like so for himself. Like I don't think he really wants to go back to that again. And everybody like seems to bring up all the old bullshit every time the band is mentioned. So it's like
30 years ago.
I know, get past it, man. It's the music, the fans, the people that want to hear that stuff. You know, you do it for them, and you do it to have fun. I mean, that's what music's all about. Nobody's gonna get rich, you know, from it. So like, you know, what else are you doing? You're teaching guitar. You're sitting on your ass. You know, you're you know, I mean, it's a no-brainer to me, but obviously those guys don't feel that way, and that's a big shame for the whole, everybody that loved that music, you know. But
Right.
honestly, I don't know, man. I don't see it happening.
What's that? Let's take a break and we'll come back with the third part.